Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with a One Piece theory video, actually. I don't do these a lot, mostly because I usually just spout my theories or my opinions in the middle of my chapter summaries, but since we have 2 whole weeks until the next chapter comes out, or maybe one more week, I don't know, but I know there's a gap, and I know there's a gap this week, so I figured I really actually just wanted to talk about the mystery that was left to us at the end of chapter 1037. What was weird about this chapter was just how everything was worded and positioned and shown to us. Most importantly, is how the five elders, the Gorosei, were talking about a devil fruit whose name was stricken from the annals of history, and they're afraid of that devil fruit being reawakened and unleashed onto the world. What's interesting about this is it also coincides with Zunisha showing up at Wano, at least the conversation's happening at the same time as this. Quite possibly this is just Oda faking us out, but it has started stirring up questions as to what exactly this devil fruit is. Which one are they talking about? Because of this, I took every devil fruit involved with Wano itself, not just the Onigashima fight going on, but even the devil fruit users that are just on Wano or associated with Wano. Whoever, whatever, from even the smallest one to the most, devastating one like Kaido. I also organized them by the ones I think are super likely against the ones I think aren't likely, and then the ones I could nod my head if someone made a convincing enough argument. So, without further ado, let's just start by waving away the ones that are probably not what they're talking about. The first one is Zunisha. I truly do not think Zunisha has the power of a devil fruit. I think Zunisha is some kind of ancient beast or leviathan or whatever you want to call it, similar to the Sea Kings or the bigger monsters we saw at the end of Thriller Bark, those big things in the Florian Triangle. Whatever the reason, the reason I'm throwing Zunisha away almost automatically is they're talking about a devil fruit whose name has been stricken from history, which means we've probably met this devil fruit already and we know its fake name. It wouldn't make any sense to tell us, oh, this devil fruit has a secret name, like a secret true name, and then reveal the true name before even revealing the fake name. So what would even be the point of that? Obviously, next on my list is all the Smile users, because those aren't real devil fruits, and even if they were, their production happened less than 20 years ago. So as a result, they couldn't have been stricken from the annals of history because they did not exist. Alongside this, I'm throwing out all ancient zone users because they're dinosaurs, and while yes, they are considered ancient beasts, their awakening, which is what the Gorosei were talking about, probably just turns them into super durable creatures, which, while terrifying, probably isn't enough to shake the world government to its knees. Finally, the last group I'm throwing out is the numbers. The numbers might be the result of a devil fruit. They might have devil fruits of their own. I don't think we've ever been confirmed or denied that they have devil fruit powers, but I'm just throwing them off the map already just to be safe. So the first personal user I'm going with is Appu's Tone Fruit, which turns your body into instruments. It makes you a sound human. I really don't think its awakening would be anything to blow wind at, so I'm just kind of throwing him off the chart. After that is Raizo's Scroll Fruit, Kinemon's Garb Fruit, Kanjuro's Brush Fruit. The Vassals of Odin have a couple Devil Fruit users among them, but again, none of them were even aware that their Devil Fruits were Devil Fruits when they ate them, so having a fake name wouldn't even be something to even consider. Plus, their names were never even stated in the actual manga itself. They were given to us through Vivera cards and things of that nature. So, continuing on with Odin and family, Toki. Toki's Time Fruit. I firmly believe Toki's dead. I think the time fruit died with her. Maybe it's reincarnated somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere in the series. The only other possibility with Toki's fruit is that she jumped ahead to the end of Wano. So, like, the end of the arc, you know, Toki will just pop into existence and reveal a big lore dump on top of us all. But if that doesn't happen, I think Toki chose to die, and if her devil fruit did reincarnate, it's probably somewhere else. What's more, because it's the time fruit and it can send the user or anyone they want into the future, I can't really see the world government being super afraid of it unless they're afraid of a person who used it to jump ahead. I'm not exactly sure what the awakening of that fruit would be, but unless the awakening lets the user go backwards in time, I can't see Oda making this a time travel story over 1,000 chapters in. Next up is Onimaru, the little fox that traveled with Kawamatsu during the past of Wano. He actually ate, I wrote it down, the human fruit on Yudo model, which turns him into a big, like, monk. Uh, Again, kind of interesting that there's another human fruit out there, which, unlike Sengoku's, which turns him into a giant Buddha, this one just turns him into kind of a chubby monk. I understand Japanese mythology probably has a lot more involved with what he can do, but for the most part, it's a fox that turns into a human, very similar to Chopper's. On that note, since I've got it written here and I just brought it up, I'm striking Chopper's human fruit from this list too, because if it does awaken, yeah, well, I already have a whole different theory on that, but I believe that Chopper's monster point is the awakening of the human fruit, and that Chopper has just triggered it early using the rumble balls, and eventually will be able to just toggle it as his quote unquote final power up at the end of One Piece. And speaking of Chopper, we're going to go and throw Boon Baku, the little teapot that ate the dog fruit, Tanuki model, and we're going to throw that one out as well, because again, just a little teapot, short and stout, and probably not a threat to the world government. Unless, with the power of the Tanuki, he can shrink the entirety of Onigashima down into a single leaf, like in Animal Crossing. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. Following up after this, I'm going to throw out Caribou's Swamp fruit, mostly because I find he's probably too incompetent to even awaken the devil fruit. While we still don't know how awakenings work, I highly doubt he's capable of awakening his devil fruit, and he's probably just going to remain a background utility comic relief character. Finally on this list is Nico Robin. As much as I love Robin, as much as I love her devil fruit, I highly doubt she's the devil fruit they're afraid of. They're more afraid of what she knows than what she can do. Because of this, I would give in to a theory of, like, oh, maybe because she can duplicate herself, or like maybe the awakening of the flower fruit is something more. A lot of people like to point to her big devil form when she fought Black Maria, but in honesty, if it weren't for the petals showing up whenever she uses the flower fruit, I can't really see it having a different name, while the flower part of her fruit is still a logical item, a logical part of the fruit's name. Okay, so next on this list are the ones that I don't think are the ones they're talking about, but these are the ones that I could be talked into believing. Starting with Yamato's dog fruit, Ochino Makami model. Obviously, it's a mythical zone-type devil fruit. She's able to breathe fire that's on par with Kaido's abilities. She's incredibly durable and strong, but like other zone types, I'm pretty sure her awakening is just super durable mode, maybe with a couple more magical abilities added, but probably not something to totally be afraid of. On par with that is Kaido's devil fruit. Again, while mythical and a dragon and still very terrifying, I can't see a reason to strike its name from history because its awakening would be anything more than extra durable dragon. Now, I could be convinced otherwise if it hadn't been for the fact that the Kaido's devil fruit is called the fish fruit. Oda revealed that its full name is the Fish Fruit Azure Dragon model. Because of that, Kaido's Devil Fruit already had like its name reveal and then like a full explanation of its name. Therefore, having it have an even like a secret third name just seems to be like putting a hat on a hat. Next, I'm going to talk about Kid's Magnet Fruit. While I do believe its magnetic powers awakened will probably be incredibly devastating. I mean, we saw a bit of his awakening when he threw basically the entire infrastructure of Onigashima at Big Mom by targeting her as the new magnet for his superconductor, crushing power. I'm pretty sure the magnet fruit is just a raw power devil fruit. It is just super strong. Its awakening just makes it even more strong. It doesn't really change anything about Kid. It doesn't really change anything about the history of the world. But with metal not being something that was probably well thought of back during the Void Century, unless lost technology in the Void Century, I don't know. It depends on the Void Century when it comes to Kid's Devil Fruit, because if the Void Century has like lost technology akin to Atlantis or something like that, then I could see where a magnetic devil fruit might be devastating, even especially when awakened. But for now, in a world of swords and bullets, Kid's Devil Fruit is like Magneto from X-Men, where super strong, but not enough to scare the entirety of the world government. Another terrifying devil fruit that might be what they're talking about is Tamas Millet fruit, the one that lets her make a little dumpling and then she can control animals. Some people even wager that this devil fruit has something to do with Zunisha's original orders, but then that raises the question of how come, Momo was able to give Zunisha a new order. Unless we're talking bloodlines and like Momonosuke is secretly the descendant of the original Millet fruit user, I can't really see how Zunisha getting an order from Momo would have anything to do with Tama's devil fruit. Again, with more convincing, maybe I could see this one, but it's just really useful, especially against Kaido's forces, but not something that can change the entirety of the world. Two more on this list, and these are the last two, are Big Mom's Soul Fruit and Brook's Revive Fruit. They're kind of similar in the fact that they deal with the human soul. Brook's more of himself personally, and Big Mom's for the souls of everyone else, although we saw she can eat a fragment of her own soul for a power-up. Maybe these are the devil fruits they're talking about. Brook's even less likely because it is just a one-up. But as we saw after the time skip, there is more that Brook can do, and he still hasn't awakened it. So imagine what it could do next, considering it can even affect the souls of others right now. As for Big Mom's, I don't know. I think she's using her awakening right now in her fight with Kid and Law, but if there's more to her devil fruit awakening, I can't imagine what the true name of a devil fruit called the Soul Fruit could do that isn't more intimidating than the Soul Fruit already is. And finally, this is the last category. These are the 4 devil fruits that I think are most likely the ones that people are going to agree with me on. One of them might be a little bit of convincing. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But I'll start off with the one that I find to be the least likely out of my most likely group. Orochi and his snake fruit model Yamata no Orochi. It is a big 8-headed serpent who we have seen his heads get lobbed off snake after snake, and he just always comes back. But what if that's not because of the Orochi? What if that's not because he's an Orochi, but instead he's a Hydra? I know this is a little crazy, and I don't really see how this is a world-changing one, which is why he's just on the cusp of what I think is likely and unlikely. But the Hydra would have eternal life effectively, given that all his heads don't get cut off, and for all we know, when he transforms into his big Orochi form, maybe he isn't actually using every single head available. Maybe he does keep one secretly safe to protect himself. What's more, if the heads get chopped off, unlike in Orochi, the Hydra's heads grow back twofold. So he could basically give himself infinite lives by just hiding one head every time they get lopped, and then gain more heads on top of that. What's more, if it awakens, he is a super durable, giant, multi-headed Hydra who cannot die because he just keeps one head in the bank. Again, least likely of my most likely picks, and probably the one that I could be talked out of. My second choice would have to be Luffy's Gum Gum Fruit. Not so much because it's the Gum Gum Fruit, but A, Luffy is the main character, and B, probably because of who previously ate the Gum Gum Fruit. We know that Eam is keeping in a giant freezer a giant straw hat, which may or may not belong to Joy Boy, or at least be connected to him in some way. Heck, we don't even know if Joy Boy is actually a boy. Maybe Joy Boy's a girl. I don't know. It could just be a code name. But whatever the reason, Joy Boy, strong connection to Luffy, the Gum Gum Fruit, I don't know, the weird things Luffy's done with it imply that maybe there's a bit more to it than just being made of rubber. We never saw in Impel Down, I mean, we saw Luffy freezing over, but we don't know if he was just freezing over because it was actual just like cold affecting him, or was it cold making his rubber body brittle? For whatever reasons, these are some of the things that connect Luffy to the world government, another reason to be afraid of him. The Gum Gum Fruit was being transported by Who's Who, and the reason Who's Who even lost his job. Shanks took a great deal of time to get a hold of the Gum Gum Fruit, and if it was Roger's Devil Fruit, I feel like Rayleigh, Shanks, Whitebeard, someone would have told Luffy by now about the Gum Gum Fruit being connected to Roger. So I don't think that's the case. But it could be a strong connection to Joy Boy. And maybe the awakening of the Gum Gum Fruit will allow Luffy to, I don't know, maybe rubberize some secret vault that the world government has under lock and key. Maybe it's a secret part of the world that can only be accessed through the power of the Gum Gum Fruit, though I'm not exactly sure what property would cause that, except maybe an electric fence. But whatever the reason, just strictly because of main character, Luffy's Gum Gum Fruit is definitely on this list. The second to last on this list is Hawkins' Devil Fruit. Ah, you didn't see that coming, did ya? The Straw Fruit. It's an interesting devil fruit, and while given it, true to its name, he can summon a giant straw man, and he can create little straw bodies that cause another person's life force to be his shield. What's with the tarot cards? The tarot cards are what make this devil fruit so confusing. Because if it was just the straw fruit, he could summon a big straw dude, that makes sense. He can turn his body into straw, that makes sense. He can make the little straw man, that makes sense. But how do his tarot cards affect his devil fruit? I could see, like, if he pulls out, the tarot card and it causes, the ruckus among his men, if it was some kind of, like, magical ability or something. But it even causes his own straw man to turn on him. He himself has to obey the cards. Typically, a devil fruit user has to stay within the confines of their own devil fruit. Luffy has to stretch. If Luffy stretches his arm out and something grabs his wrist and pulls, Luffy will be brought along with the arm. This leads me to believe that maybe the straw fruit isn't its true name. And this devil fruit is actually called either the Hex fruit, the Taro fruit, or the Voodoo fruit. That would make sense with the little voodoo dolls that allow him to force other people under his control. Maybe the tarot cards turned him into this straw man kind of thing. Um, but whatever the reason, I think there's more to this devil fruit than's being let on, and it might be the only devil fruit capable of using magic, which magic isn't something Oda has used in One Piece since, well, one of the initial versions of Romance Dawn, all the way at the back, at the beginning of, before One Piece actually. One of the 3 versions of Romance Dawn had magic involved. So maybe this is Oda's secret backdoor way of bringing back in that plot point. If that's the reason, I can't wait to see where that goes, because Hawkins definitely needs some more screen time after that horrible defeat at the hands of Killer. And finally, Law's Op fruit, which is my vote for the most likely devil fruit they're talking about. Mostly because I believe that its awakening is what triggers his ability to create the eternal life procedure without killing himself. I think that's what makes it such a terrifying devil fruit, because if it does get awakened, which it did during this fight, it could create an invincible army. An actual invincible army, not like Kaido's invincible army of zone type users. This could create an invincible army of invincible people. Either that, or it does sacrifice your life, but it would still grant someone eternal youth, which might even be something Eames looking for. Or Eam is the last person this ritual was used on and just doesn't want someone else to have that power. Whatever the reason, the Op fruit does have the greatest potential of doing something terrifying. Especially if its awakening is as scary as I'm predicting. But I feel like that would be a little too OP, pun intended, for One Piece to have someone who could just create an invincible army, even if they are a good guy. So yeah, that's my opinion on the whole what magic devil fruit, what whispers are the old ones speaking of, what horrible fate awaits the world government. So those 4 are the ones I think are the most likely, and then I have the ones that I can be talked down on. But let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. Did I miss a devil fruit? Did I sleep on a devil fruit that should have been higher up on my chart? Whatever the reason, this was a fun exercise, and I don't usually do theory videos, so let me know if you want to hear more of my thoughts, or if you just want to hear them when I'm doing the chapter summaries. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.